Frankie Montas was playing that mountain music. He tossed a gem, and the Reds, they won their second consecutive series.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily source for all things Cincinnati Reds. I'm Stephen Offenbaker. I love baseball. I love these Cincinnati Reds. I've taken my love for the game, my love for baseball, and I have turned that love, that addiction to this sport and to this team into information for you. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Everydayers, on today's show, we're going to be talking about that 7-inning gem that Frankie Montas tossed out in Denver. We're going to get into the resurgence, possibly even a breakout on the way from Elly De La Cruz. We're going to look at a lot of what these hitters in the lineup are doing. We talked about this on Monday. Denver was going to be an opportunity for these hitters to get right, and many of them are. A lot of these guys are looking good at the plate right now. We're going to be talking about the pitching staff. We're going to be talking about some great outings that the pitchers have had so far. We're going to talk about what the Reds need to do to nail down the sweep. When we did our predictions on Monday, Tim Daniel was sitting in the guest host chair, and he predicted a 3-game sweep. I wasn't so sure. I thought 2 out of 3. Looks like Tim might have been right. The Reds are positioned to sweep this series. Going to be a lot of fun things to talk about today. Before I get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets back with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And where I want to get started is with Frankie Montas. I mean, there's no other place that we should to really look than what Frankie was able to do. 7 innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Tremendous start at Coors Field. As a matter of fact, Frankie Montas was the first visiting starting pitcher. So the first starting pitcher for any visiting team in the history of Coors Field to throw 7 innings, to strike out 9 or more batters, and to allow just 1 or fewer hits. The only guy to ever do it for a visiting team in Denver. Tremendous outing from Frankie. And this is the kind of start that Frankie really needed to deliver. When we talked about Frankie on Monday, he was probably the starter that we were most worried about. The inconsistency, the things that he hasn't done day in and day out are the things that I said that I wanted to see. If this is the guy that he can be, if he can be this dude and to really just deliver in the hardest place in baseball to pitch, Andrew Abbott talked about it after his start, that there were times he was really feeling that altitude. It was really getting to him. It's affecting the pitchers and the hitters. Will Benson said that he was feeling a little lightheaded as he ran that triple out in the first game of the series. The altitude plays a big impact on these players, not just from a standpoint of what the ball is doing, whether it changes the way that it's breaking or changes the way that pitchers have to pitch. It affects your body. I don't know if any of you have ever done anything at altitude, hiking, gone up on a mountain. When you do that, you have to work hard. There are people that just can't do it. They get altitude sickness. So for these guys to go out and perform at a high level, and I give credit to guys that sign with the Colorado Rockies because they do this 81 times a year. That is no light undertaking. That's a big deal. And you do get used to it. You build up stamina for it. But for the visiting teams, they don't have that advantage. So for the Reds to have come into this series, and when you look at it on paper, this is exactly what should have happened. The Reds starting pitching is better than what the Colorado Rockies are putting out there as far as an offensive lineup goes. You would expect this kind of success, but Coors is the great equalizer, and you're never quite sure what you're going to get. You don't know if it's going to be a 15-14 game. I certainly would not have predicted a 4-1 baseball game, nearly a shutout, mind you, had Buck Farmer not let a run get away there in the 9th inning. The way the pitching staff has performed in these first 2 games, first with Andrew Abbott and then with Frankie Montas, it's pretty incredible. Montas is now 3-4 on the year. For those of you that still kind of pay attention to wins and losses, I don't put a whole lot of stock in that anymore. But man, being able to limit that Colorado lineup to just one hit. And it was a solid hit. I was glad for that. I didn't want to see a dink or a dunk or something get away from somebody and him lose out on a no-hitter that way. But for him to hold that lineup to one hit, that's just absolutely tremendous. And I saw some of you guys in the comment sections around X and around Facebook talking about the fact that John Sadak was talking about the no-hitter. And he and I had a lengthy conversation about this one time. And I asked him, I'm like, do you feel like you have to tiptoe? Do you feel like you have to ignore what's going on in the game? And he did not hesitate. He just, before I almost was finished asking him the question, he said, jinxes aren't real. I agree with him. The days of us not talking about these things are long gone. They're over. You get no-hitter alerts on your app. As fans, as broadcasters, as people covering the team, you can't jinx a no-hitter. I understand where this evolved from. This evolved from player superstition. Baseball players are some of the most superstitious people around, and they care about these things. And if you don't want to disrupt your pitcher, if you don't want to draw attention to what's going on, if you don't want to sit next to him in the dugout, that's a baseball thing. That's a player thing. John Sadak talking about the no-hitter had absolutely nothing to do with the Reds, in fact, not getting the no-hitter. If there was going to be a hit, there was going to be a hit. But people were mad. You guys, people were mad online because John Sadak specifically referenced the no-hitter in the sixth. I have no problem with that. John Sadak didn't cost this team a no-hitter. Some of the comments were maybe in jest, but there were some seriously mad people out there online, mad online about Sadak talking about the no-hitter. I don't know, folks. There's a lot of other things we can be mad about. I don't think that's one of them. You know who I'm not mad about? I'm not mad about what Fernando Cruz did last night either. 1 inning of work, struck out 2 in that inning. He has looked great. I don't know, for a guy that arrived on scene so late in his career, he's in nearly mid-30s already. He has just been tremendous this year. Jeff pointed to this guy last season and pointed to what some of his numbers look like and put him up there with Alexis Diaz. And I kind of, I picked on Jeff a little bit about his push that Fernando was just going to be this guy. And Fernando has been this guy. There was a rough stretch in there, but everybody had a rough stretch in May. Fernando Cruz has truly delivered. Alexis Diaz didn't make it into another game. He did end up warming up a little bit there in the 9th inning when Buck Farmer, it looked like the wheels may have started to come off. The difference between what Frankie Montas and Fernando Cruz did versus what Buck Farmer did is Buck Farmer let guys put balls in the air. They talked about this on the broadcast. Both Cruz and Montas were throwing fastballs, forkballs, splitters, stuff that's, inducing ground balls. That was the key to success in this game, is the number of ground balls that Reds pitching was able to induce. That's something, again, that we've been talking about on this show for a long time, because that also translates to Great American Ballpark. We need pitchers to get these ground balls. And if the Reds can consistently get ground balls, if their pitchers can induce ground balls, this team is going to continue to make up ground. 2.5 games out of a playoff spot right now, 8 games back in the division, plenty of time to make that up. The Reds have won 8 of their last 11 ball games, folks. May was brutal. Some of you, rightfully so, were getting ready to push that panic button. We're getting ready to eject. Not so fast. This team, every time we try and take a step back, they pull us back in, and they are pulling us back in right now. Tremendous effort from Frankie Montas out in Colorado. Something that I didn't expect to see. Really pleasantly surprised with what Frankie was able to do. If that shoulder continues to hold up, if he can continue to be a 6 or 7 inning guy, this Reds rotation is going to take this team far. They're going to make up this ground. It's going to be fun. June is going to be fun. July, August, September is going to be fun. We're going to be talking about October. And I know a lot of you guys get in the comment section that kind of scoff at me when I bring up October. It's not out of reach. It's not out of the realm of possibility. There's still plenty of things to be excited about with this team. Plenty of things to be excited about with what this team is doing right now. We're going to talk about one of them coming up here in a minute. As good as the pitching was, the hitters have really delivered. The hitters have used Colorado as their opportunity to reset, to get right, to boost their numbers, to get dialed in. That includes Elly De La Cruz. We're going to be talking about him and what he did coming up next. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. We tell you about this app all the time. Jeff uses it. I use it. This is how I get most of my Reds tickets. I'll head down to the banks, find a great restaurant, find a spot to have some food and a couple drinks. And then as it gets close to game time, I'll go to Game Time. I'll get on the Game Time app. I will find the ticket that I want and head over to the ballpark. It's just that easy. With Game Time, you can jump on the app. You're going to get all in pricing. You're going to know exactly what it is that you're going to be paying. They have more than just baseball. You can get Bengals tickets on here. You can get concert tickets. The possibilities, they're endless. And if you're going to a venue that you don't necessarily know very well, with the Game Time app, they make it easy to see exactly what the view is going to look like from your seat. So you can go to the Game Time app, get your all-in pricing, know what your view is going to be. And for first-time customers using the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, you're going to get $20 off already greatly discounted prices. Again, just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create that account, redeem that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. If you haven't done so, you have got to check out Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 streaming sports channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in sports. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news brought to you by both our national hosts and our local experts like me and Jeff. We're bringing all of that information to you 24/7 on YouTube and for free on the Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we are hopefully going to be talking about a sweep. The Reds have already secured their second consecutive series, winning 2 of 3 already out in Colorado. Exciting times, Reds fans. They've won 8 of 11, like I said. And a big, big part of that is because the offense has been delivering. They've been scoring more than 1 or 2 runs in a game. They've been giving their pitchers a little bit of run support. And I will love to see that continue. I said with a lefty on the mound yesterday, I wanted to see something big from Stuart Fairchild. I have surrendered to what you guys have been telling me. I admit that he has progressed past being a 4A player. He is not an everyday player. Some of you guys came at me in the comment sections when I was talking about him being a great platoon player, saying that he should play every day. He should not play against right-handed pitching. He just should not do it. But when there's a lefty on the mound, I have no problem with Stuart Fairchild being in there. I also have no problem with him leading off. And I know Jeff doesn't like this as much as I do, but against a left-handed pitcher, put him in there, put him up at the top of the lineup and see what he can do. I love that he laid down a bunt in the first at bat of the game last night. Completely caught the defense off guard, caught everybody sleeping, got a hit out of it. Loved it. Not to be outdone, Elly laid a bunt down after that. It wasn't as good a bunt. I think if he had pushed that down the line just a little bit more, it would have been back-to-back bunt singles to start the game. I don't mind Elly bunting in a situation where he could maybe catch him off guard, catch him sleeping. Considering that Stuart Fairchild had just done it and got on base, I don't think anybody on the infield was really thinking Elly was going to lay down a bunt also. That looked like something that may have been predetermined, pre-decided. Hey, Stuart's going to do this. If he gets on, go ahead. I'm not sure about that. It kind of looked that way watching it on the broadcast. And for me, I have no problem with that. I don't like when Elly De La Cruz bunts in critical big situations late in games. We've seen him like put down 7th, 8th, 9th inning bunts. I do not like that, but I did not mind the first inning bunt from Elly. I didn't mind Elly's 440 plus foot home run to dead straightaway center field last night either. Loved that. Love to see it coming from the right-hand side of the plate. That was Elly De La Cruz's 4th home run this season, greater than 440 feet. Only a couple other players in the game are doing that right now. Aaron Judge has the most home runs, 440 or longer. He has 5. Shohei Ohtani is tied with Elly De La Cruz at 4. So Elly De La Cruz is second in baseball with 440 foot plus home runs. I love that Elly is doing it from both sides of the plate. If he can develop that right-handed power to go along with what he's been doing as a lefty and keep these defenses off balance, keep these pitchers in fear of pitching to him, and the lineup around him can continue to excel. It is going to be so much fun to watch this team score runs. We talked in the offseason that for this team to really make a push, for them to be successful, they've got to average somewhere around 5 runs a game. They're getting there. They're getting there more often than not here lately. And that's exciting to see. And, you know, obviously the big 13-run kind of games, they're going to bump the numbers up a little bit, but this team is hitting, not just Stuart Fairchild, 2 for 3 in the leadoff spot last night. RBI, scored a run. You know, Jake Fraley's consecutive games hit with a hit streak was broken. He was 0 for 2 after he came in the game and replaced Fairchild. Elly with the big home run, 1 for 4. I still would like to see him start to string together a multi-hit game, but, you know, 2 nights ago, he had a loud out to deep center, or to deep right rather. And then he managed to get on base. And that kind of seemed like he was starting to break out of it. And after the loud, long out, he's back in the dugout. Guys are kind of high-fiving him, patting him. A lot of encouragement there. You could kind of feel that maybe there was a momentum and energy shift coming with Elly. And I think maybe we saw that last night. I hope he's in the lineup for the getaway game today. I want to see what he does coming off of that, because it seems that his performance is building one on top of the other. And I like the direction that it's going. Jeimer Candelario, another hit. You know, he's hitting 232. His OPS is 730. He's hitting the ball really, really, really well for the Reds. Pretty much ever since we got to the month of May, he's turned it on. He's raised that average up after he had that abysmal start. Really excited to see what Jeimer is doing right now. People aren't complaining so much about his signing now that he started to deliver. It just took him a while to get going. And I'm glad to see it. The Reds really need him to be going, especially till they can get a couple more guys back in this lineup. Spencer Steer continues to just be the man. 2 for 4 last night. Batting average hovering around 250. He's been really doing a lot of things. He's played a great first base. I like him over there at first base. It's going to be interesting when CES comes back. CES is going to be a first baseman / GH. But I don't know. Spencer Steer looks really good over there. I could see a scenario where maybe CES plays a lot of DH. Spencer Steer stays on the infield. We'll have to see how that plays out. Tyler Stevenson, he was the designated hitter in last night's game. Didn't catch. Luke Maley was in at catcher, but, you know, roll of the dice by putting your backup or your other catcher in the game and then having your number 1 catcher be the DH. Something happens, you give up the DH. Or have to go to an emergency catcher. But Tyler Stevenson's 2 for 4 in last night's performance. He's just hitting the ball really well. He's hitting the ball to all fields. He's still not hitting for all the power that I really wish he would hit for. That power may or may not come. But if he can just be a doubles guy, a gap hitter to all fields, that's a dangerous catcher to have in a lineup. And he's been catching really great. His defense has been good. He's making tremendous improvement. I really like what he's doing for these Redlegs. TJ Friedel continues to shake off the rust. He had a 1 for 4 day last night and just keep getting hits, man. He was a little bit lower in the lineup. I think he was down around 6 or 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't mind that as he's continuing to adjust and get back into his groove. A lot of that, I think, had to do with the fact that there was a lefty on the mound and they wanted to go with Stuart Fairchild up top, which worked out for them. Will Benson came into this game later, replacing rookie call-up, major league debut, Blake Dunn. Blake Dunn gets in on his first big league action. And this was a move I didn't see coming. I was really surprised. They send Nick Martini down. They bring up Blake Dunn. I think really this has a lot to do with the fact that over the next couple weeks, they're going to face a lot of left-handed pitching. And I think they'll use Blake Dunn in a pretty strictly platoon role just to help offset that with those lefties coming up. Now, Blake Dunn down in Louisville was having an okay season. His slash line was 223, 348, 378. He's hit 4 home runs this season, he stole in 9 bases. Stole 9 bases. He's coming off a tremendous year, though. Last year, 2023, playing time between Dayton and Chattanooga. We've talked about this before. What a bunch of numbers he put up. 312, 425, 522 on his slash line. He hit 23 home runs and stole 54 bases. He can hit for power. He can steal you bases when he gets on. I'm kind of interested to see how this plays out. I don't know that he was just quite ready to come up based on the numbers that we were seeing so far in Louisville. But we've started to talk about the shifting mindset, the new way to look at what AAA really is. And it's not so much a prove it with your stats, because if that's what did it, Jose Barrero and Aristides Aquino would be all-stars at the major league level, right? We've talked about you reach a point in AAA and you have to come up to continue your development. Maybe Blake Dunn is there. I'm looking forward to watching him get to play over the next couple weeks and see what happens, because if he can play at the major league level, if he can hit at the major league level, now you've got a corner outfield scenario where Benson and Fairchild form an outfielder and Fraley and Dunn form an outfielder. TJ Friedel's your everyday center field guy, and you can keep Spencer Steer on the infield. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really looking forward to watching the Reds over the next couple of weeks and seeing what they're able to do. They're going to be playing, a long 4-game series here coming up against the Cubs. The Reds have an opportunity to continue to close ground. And these, I think, are the things they need to do, the changes they need to make, the adjustments they need to make to put their players in the best positions to be successful. They haven't done that. It's really been desperation and the lack of personnel where you just have to run guys out there. And, Will Benson, you haven't hit a lefty in weeks, but you're starting today. Yeah, we're going to run you out there because we've got nobody else. Stu, we know you haven't been able to hit right-handed pitching ever, and we're going to still start you against this right-handed pitcher. Those are the things that were happening, and we saw what those results were. Now that they're getting guys back and can make these changes to kind of play a smarter brand of baseball, I think the Reds are going to have a lot of success. Certainly the offense looks like it's going to get the job done. The Reds need somebody else to get the job done if they are going to secure a sweep. They're going to need Graham Ashcraft to step up like Andrew Abbott and Frankie Montas have done in the games before him. Coming up, we're going to be talking about what the Reds have to do to nail down the sweep. We've got that next. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel gives you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers are going to get $150 in bonus bets back with any winning $5 bet. So if you want to get in on that NHL action, throw $5 at it. If you win, $150 back to you. Same goes for the NBA. Pick the winner, $5 bet, you're going to get $150 back. Not feeling the NBA or the NHL? Get in on some Major League Baseball action. You could take the Reds to win. You could take a money line. You could take total hits in a game for Spencer Steer. The possibilities are endless over at FanDuel. You can visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get in on your $150 in bonus bets back if your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 in bonus bets back if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. Remember that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. You can catch every pitch of the Reds' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Reds. Also, check out CincinnatiRedsTalk.com for all of the Reds coverage you need in written form. James Rapine's writing over there. Jeff's writing over there. I'll be writing over there more often throughout the summer. Audie Elmore's been writing over there. A lot of great folks that have been talking about the Reds for a long, long time, covering this team for a long, long time, now covering them and writing over there. So come check it out. We would love to have you read what we are writing. All right. The Reds have an opportunity to get a sweep today. And in order for them to accomplish that, Graham Ashcraft is going to have to be good Graham Ashcraft. He was not good Graham Ashcraft his last time out. On May 31st, he faced the Cubs. He managed to get through 4 2/3 innings, allowing 3 runs on 5 hits. He struck out 4, walked 2. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't what it really needed to be. He really labored at times, and in a setting like Coors Field, that type of a start can result in the Rockies scoring 10 runs. It's just the way it works in Denver. So Graham Ashcraft is going to have to be dialed in. I would have to think that he has watched Andrew Abbott and he has watched Frankie Montas, do what they've done over the last 2 days. And he is going to want to go out there and match that. I think that success, drives the next guy up to be as successful or more. We see this with the starting pitchers. We see this with this particular rotation where they want to one up each other. They want to continue to be better than what the last guy did. Graham Ashcraft needs an outing like that. In fact, his last several outings have been a lot of labor. He's not been very clean. His start before that Chicago start was against the Dodgers, where he allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. Before that, 3 runs on 3 hits, 3 runs on 7 hits. Before that, it's been pretty consistent, allowing 3 to 5 runs. And in Denver, it can get away from you. So I would like to see a strong, clean performance from Graham Ashcraft. I would love to also see Alexis Diaz in this game. It's been a couple days since he's pitched. He didn't look incredibly solid. He's been shaky at times. I think the best version of Alexis Diaz is the guy that pitches every couple days. They can't continue to let him go these long stretches. I really think that it disrupts what he's doing. It disrupts what he's trying to accomplish and his rhythm. And if he's going to be the closer of this team, they have to get him opportunities. And, I know that every day is not going to present a save situation. They almost had one last night. Definitely didn't have it the night before. They got to get Alexis in a game. I really would not like to see him come back facing the Cubs, having not pitched in 3 or 4 days. I just really don't want to see that. But this is a very winnable game today for the Cincinnati Reds. Left-hander on the mound. Dak Hudson going for the Rockies. He's a lefty. He's a righty. That means that the lefties will be in the lineup with a right-handed pitcher on the mound. So Will Benson starting this game. We'll probably see Jake Fraley. Stuart Fairchild sits. Blake Dunn sits. Elly De La Cruz gets the bat from the left. Jamer gets the bat from the left. There's an opportunity for this team to score some runs. I really want to see Elly De La Cruz break out. Gets to be on the left-hand side of the plate. It's there, folks. You can feel it coming. I think this is going to be the game where he breaks out. The Reds are going to get the sweep. I think Tim Daniel was right when he predicted this, and kudos to him. I said 2 of 3, but I really think this is going to be an opportunity for the Reds to get a sweep under their belts, come back to Cincinnati having won 9 out of 12. That's not bad. They need to continue that kind of a winning percentage pace to make up ground. I think they can do it. I'm excited to watch the game today. I look forward to talking about it with you all. And that is where we are going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks so much for making Locked On Reds your first listen. Everydayers will be back in your feed tomorrow talking about hopefully the sweep, getting you set for a series with the Chicago Cubs, the 4-gamer at Great American Ballpark. Big opportunity for the Reds to close some ground. We're going to have lots to talk about. If you haven't done so yet, you're watching me on YouTube. Thanks. Hey, hi. Thanks for watching me on YouTube. Click that like button down there. Click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell so that you know when we go live, when we drop extra stuff. If you're listening to me in your audio feeds, thanks. Appreciate that. Also, make sure you have subscribed. Make sure that you leave us a review if you want to do that. We'd really appreciate it. We want to get this show out to as many people as possible. We love talking Reds baseball with you. We want to talk Reds baseball with everyone. Appreciate you guys being here. We will talk to you next time, and we will keep you locked on Reds every single